headphones on. All right, I'm gonna put, where's the speaker coming on this? It's right there. All right. We got 32 people in here. I'm gonna pull this towards me. All right, as always, immense technical difficulties. But we're gonna try this. So for those of you that don't understand how this is gonna work, we changed things up because the plan for the Discord wasn't quite working the way we thought it would. Molly. Do I accept this?
Yeah.
Hello? You want to take that in the other room and get it ready?
Yeah.
So we are trying to make this work. So on YouTube, this is going to be the audience. And so I've got the mic set up just to check how is my audio going right now. How's my audio, you guys? Audio is good. So this is going to be the audience on YouTube. If you would like to be one of my call-ins, go in the description of this video. There's a link to Discord if you've set up Discord. If you have not, go to my Twitter or Facebook and look at the link to join my Discord server. And once you have joined Discord and joined my server with your own account, then you can go to the description of this video, and there's a link to the discussion room, and you can go in that room, and my mods will filter people and set people up to have a one-on-one discussion with me for the YouTube audience to enjoy. Get up here. Come up here. Come up here. Come on. Give me 1 second. So if you saw my clip earlier from my doggo business, come on, get on camera, buddy. So this is Nova. This is one of my mod's dogs. Very awesome dog. Very. Oh, is that good doggo? Getting some sausages. Good doggo. All right, that's your 15 seconds of fame. Go away. There's a pretty good video of her earlier. Her goofy smiley face. So right now, I'm waiting for my mods to get somebody on the Discord, and they're going to bring that out to me on a tablet and put it in front of the microphone so that we can start a conversation. Hey, Nolan, thanks for being in here modding. Appreciate that. So while we're waiting for that, I'll just read the chat here. I want to take these glasses off, but I want to leave them on. They fog up and it's annoying, but kind of adds to the villain mystique. So I'll just interact with the chat for now. So if you guys want to throw up any questions, or you need no reflective glasses. Yeah, but I'm in a room where nothing matters. I want to shout out, I love band t-shirts, especially black ones with like one color. So Rancid, my favorite Rancid song is Blood Clot. I'm not actually a big fan of Rancid, but some of their songs are. And I like their image. Brian Gilmore says, do you know who I am? Brian Gilmore. Sorry, bud, I don't know who you are. Sorry. Rose-colored glasses. Villain Phoenix. Oh, Ted Wheeler. Somebody's got a YouTube account named Ted Wheeler.
Oh, that's awesome.
Villain Phoenix is my all-time favorite Portland streamer. Thanks, Teddy.
Hey, V, you got Tiger here.
All right.
Press that.
All right. So we got a first caller. How you doing, Tiger?
Good, pretty good. So, Villain, first I want to say thank you for everything that you do. It's a tough role that you play, and it sounds like you got a normal job.
Hold on 1 second, Tiger, before we jump into everything. I want to check my technical stuff. YouTube audience, are you able to hear the conversation well right now? Okay, everything's good. Tiger, right now I am full-time doing this filming and doing other side jobs. COVID affected me deeply, like a lot of did other people. So that's the answer to that question.
Yeah, so, a couple of things, just as far as, I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. I'm not bashful to say where I'm from and that kind of stuff. The coming here, you don't see what you see in the Great Northwest, and I call it the Great Northwest because I've been up there before, lived in Tacoma, Washington. I loved it up there. I've lived in Chicago. I lived kind of all over the country. What I see, okay, is trying to be like balanced, okay, seeing both points of view, right? I've watched a lot of your stuff, Patriot rallies to going incognito at one point, okay, just a few weeks ago, and it raises concern, but I appreciate everything that you do and everything that you're going to be doing. My question to you is this: you're in that mix, right? You've been up in the middle. You've had during the violent periods, during the calm periods, where you've had good conversations. Your opinion, like today, you were out, right? And you had the little short guy and this other guy that was in a brown jacket yelling at you, and you're trying to get an interview with him, and he kind of used some bad language with you. Your thoughts in when you're out there, right, and you're putting yourself at that risk, okay, of being attacked. Your thoughts are, what are your thoughts as far as why they are acting the way they act, why they chase people that just did a flag wave? Why do they do these things instead of letting them go? What do you physically see and hear? Because I can't hear everything. What is it that motivates them to do that next step opposed to just letting them go?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've talked about that on my stream a lot of times. That's crowd dynamics, and it's weird. Different civilizations and different religions will describe what I'm going to try to talk about in different ways. In the Bible, it talks about like a spirit will come over the people. In history, you see times where there was mass hysteria, or some places will call it group demonic possession. You see things like the Salem witch trials. There are many instances in history where there's these weird, just kind of, for lack of a more modern term, a spirit that just takes over a group. And if you're out in these events where there's sometimes tens of thousands of people, sometimes dozens of people, or hundreds of people, you can be a wallflower, and once you get accustomed to how they work enough, let me check technical here. You still there, Tiger?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, sorry. We're learning how to do this, so I just want to make sure it didn't cut out. But you can be a wallflower at these events, and once you get a little bit of experience there, you can almost see the spirit, for lack of a better term, go through the crowd. So if you guys watched my stream today, you'll see the part where I came back in for the second time, and I was standing outside the parking garage, and the police presence were there, and all the Antifa started coming up behind me, and there was some young affluent girls there with their cameras thinking they were doxing Brandon Farley, even though everybody knows who he is already, and they were filming me too, like they're uncovering some great secret. But you saw them starting to try to form an attack on me and try to arrange an attack on me. And basically what it comes down to, like, numbers. It comes down to, today it didn't happen because there was police right there, but there needs to be a charismatic person or a confident person or a crazy person that's going to make the first move, and just the right energy in that atmosphere for people to just fall into it. Because you walk in there, and if you look at the video of outside the parking garage when the cops were there, if you analyze that video, you can see the energy I'm talking about. You look as I'm panning, you look at these people, they are waiting to pounce. They're waiting for the right moment. That energy is in there. And once that all coalesces, it just happens. So I don't know if that answers the question good enough, but just the right circumstances just coalesce, and then some little minor incident will spark it off. So a lot of times people have accused me of being a coward in certain situations where I'm in the midst of a mob or amidst of a large group of Antifa. But I'm just very aware that if someone comes up and is accosting me and they're provoking me, if I ignore that and risk looking like I'm backing down and being cowardly, that energy won't pop off. But in certain situations, if I just say the wrong word or raise my voice wrong or stand wrong, that energy will be reflected by them and it'll pop off. So I feel like I'm sounding like I'm just saying a bunch of woo-woo nonsense right now, but that's my answer to that. It's once you immerse yourself in there, and a lot of people that I've discussed with that have been in these situations, they understand what I'm saying. There's just kind of like, it's kind of like the ripples in the water in the ocean, and they seem to be all chaotic, but if you look at it from if you step back and look at it, there's a pattern to it. And if you immerse yourself in these situations enough, you can kind of see that spirit rippling through the crowd and you kind of predict it.
Right. So my next, so what do you think is going to develop a change, or what is it going to take for a change to happen? Right. So you said that my analogy is that the police, they started to grow, right? They started to fuel. What is it that's going to change to where they stop, right? What do we need to do as people, right? To take this mob mentality away, to put a hold to it. And I hate to say it, it's going to fall on Ted Wheeler or whoever the next mayor is, and the governor and that kind of stuff. What are your thoughts? How is it going to diffuse as a whole? Okay.
I don't know if it is going to diffuse. If you look at history, civilization goes through these patterns of rising and falling and rising and falling, and you see the same things happening in each civilization as it hits its rise, its peak, right before it falls. You see things like, and I don't want to get into these topics. We can discuss these another time. I'm not making a judgment on these topics. I'm just saying these things happen right before civilization collapse. The acceptance of homosexuality, the androgyny and confusion between the genders. There is also a denial of a God. Usually in the lower forms of civilization, everybody believes in a God. They all believe in different gods, but then they start to coalesce and come to a unified belief, and then they leave that belief of God. So you see a lot of patterns right before civilization falls, and I think we're there. And we're also there at the timeline for a democracy. We're at the end of the normal timeline, the life expectancy of a democracy. We're there. The democracy should die soon, as far as history goes. But I do see things, so that would lead people to be tempted to go black pill and say that there's no hope. But there are some unique things, like we've never had the type of technology that we've had today. We've never had the extent of communication throughout the world, the extent of transportation throughout the world. There are some unique things in the world today. And I think that it's going to take something great and new in the world to change things. I want to get theological and philosophical. I think that the Western system of philosophy and thinking is the greatest system that's come around to the world so far. But that was founded on the Christian moral principles in the story of Jesus. And I don't think that the understanding of God that the Christian worldview has given mankind has been updated with the Industrial Revolution and the technical revolution and the way people's minds work now. So I think that the Christian story needs to be, and this is going to sound heretical or irreverent to a lot of people that are Christians or fundamentalist Christian, but I think in the last couple of hundred years we have a society has spent a lot of energy and time and resources on putting work into innovation, technology, infrastructure, the Industrial Revolution, factories, and material things. But we have not put very much effort into upgrading our understanding of theology and God and philosophy. And I think we're lacking on those things. And I think people don't have a way to wrap their minds around hope and wrap their minds around a meaningful existence to their life, or a meaning to their life, and an understanding of a possible afterlife. And as I've talked over the months, I've seen in the riots, and I've seen in society in general, that there's a lack of the family structure. People are growing up without fathers, or with bad fathers, or absent fathers, or bad mothers, or absent mothers. People are not being raised very well. And even just today, I had another case of that. I talked to Dustin. I think he goes by 2 Less Legs on Twitter. He's the atrophied leg guy in the wheelchair. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Some people refer to him as Hot Wheels. He was talking to some of the Patriots today, and he talked about his upbringing. He talked about how he had really bad parents, and they just didn't take care of him, and they mistreated him. And I'm not saying that to dig on him. I didn't have the greatest childhood either, but that's a common thread amongst the rioters, and that's a common thread through society today. And I think it's a lack of meaning and a lack of a comprehension of how to hold on to hope and how to understand God and understand meaning. We don't have a common mythos in our society anymore. There's not a common belief. So I think, and I don't want to get overly religious here, but for lack of a better term, I think we need to have a great revival in order to save our civilization.
I agree with you 100%. So I'm older, okay? I'm 56 years old. And I've got 2 children that I brought into this world, and I thank God, okay? And I thank Jesus for giving me the ability to bring my children up in the proper way, right? Discipline, firm discipline, but respect at the same time. You talked about the family, the nuclear family. Well, I was divorced from their mother, but we were still able to maintain that nuclear family optic, as I call it. Schools have changed. I've watched everything changed since 1980, actually a little bit before then, when I was really able to understand. And society, as you say, the democracy is coming to an end. And I've watched it for years and years and years and years. And the change was predicted. It was predicted by Ronald Reagan in 1964. He said what we're experiencing today would come about. If you go back and listen to his speech, he talked about the very things that we're experiencing. And my personal view, okay, is that we have leadership that fell under that bracket that you talked about, okay, as far as broken homes or loss of religion, right, loss of revival, the understanding of God, and everything else. And it's our leadership that's allowing this stuff to happen. It's the examples they portray. What I see going on the federal level, state level, and local level. And the COVID thing, right? That was to me the time bomb. I own a business. I have a diverse group from 18 to 37 years old. I allow them to think for themselves. I guide them. Okay, I lead them. You're going to do it this way, you're going to do it that way, but I ask questions to lead them to the conclusion that we need to get to obtain the goals for that next month. Our businesses lack that. Our corporations lack that. A lot of people, everything lacks that. The home, okay? I mean, it all is lacking. There has to be somewhere in there comes in, okay, and we know who the mediator is, and I'm not going to get very religious, that mediator comes in, I don't see this country ever being the same as it was 6 or 13, 14, or 12 months ago. I just don't see it. I think that it's going to it can level off, but I also believe that the people out there, if you can find a way for each and every one of us to sit down and have conversations of opposing views and have civil conversations. The stuff that's going on in the streets, that's the times that I think you got assaulted or got accosted a couple of times, that's just, why? Right? Why is that? And we have to go into, personally, we have to go back into teaching and educating people to understand that they're equal, but they have to also, at the same time, and this is my opinion, you have to make yourself equal. You have to, when I say make yourself equal, put yourself out there in society. Put yourself in the society of I can, right?
It's like that Christian idea. Yeah, it's not the same idea, but it's similar to the idea in the New Testament of faith without works is dead. And so you can believe you're equal, but you got to act on it. So you can have faith in something, but unless you act on that, that faith is meaningless. So I agree with that. You can believe something in your mind, but if your actions don't follow it, that belief is kind of worthless.
Well, that's exactly what's happening. They have found a belief that they can go out into the streets and accost people. I'm not talking I'm not even talking about the police, just regular people.
Yeah.
And that's their belief, okay? And they're being allowed to do this. That's what's sickening to me.
I agree.
Okay? But that's their belief, and now they're going out and they're acting upon it, okay? Yeah. We have to find a way, okay, in my opinion, okay, to start having conversations. Civil conversations. Hot Wheels guys, you called him, right?
I want to be clear because there's so many people watching me. That's what people call him, and I'm trying to. I mentioned that to make sure that people knew who I was talking about. I don't. I understand why they call him that, but I don't want to disrespect. It is what it is. I just want to make sure that I am not the one that called him that.
Right. Yeah. I apologize. I don't know. I think his name's Dennis or
Dustin,
whatever.
I believe. Dustin.
Thank you, Dustin, right?
Yeah.
I've seen him where you could not have a conversation with him on live feeds.
Yeah.
Not just yours.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But I mean, live, crazy. But then, and he's an example, and I think he's one of those that you could really change. Okay? Because I've seen him also sit there and have the conversation he had with you today, right? And it was like, well, yeah, I guess that tweet I put out was kind of wrong, right? I heard him.
So Tiger, I got to interrupt you here. I'm gonna respond one last time, and then I got to cut you off, and then we'll go to the next caller. But I want to say I agree with what you're saying, and what I think that these rioters are doing. I believe, and please everybody criticize me and don't take me as a guru, and I'm just a guy like you, so I don't want to be like this guy that's preaching at people. But I believe that without that collective mythos today, people have to find a belief, they have to find some structure in their mind that helps them think that things are going to be okay. And a lot of people, it's difficult to build that in your mind. So a lot of people build these faulty systems in their mind, like Black Lives Matter, or I'm an anti-fascist, or whatever or I'm spiritual. And you can take a tiniest pin to these things and their balloon pops. And that's why they get so vicious when you try to have a discussion with them and try to understand them, because there's really no strength to the structural of their functional belief in their mind, and I think that's why they're out there being so harmful to people that disagree with them, because they can't tolerate any any question of their belief, because it shows that it's not very strong in the first place. I'll let you have the final word, Tiger. I thank you for calling in.
Yep. All right, man. I just appreciate it. Please do me a favor. Be safe out there. I wish we could give you enough money to have about 4 or 5 bodyguards out there.
Everybody's poor right now, man.
Do me a favor. Be safe. Keep doing what you're doing. Stay right in the middle.
All right, man. I thank you for your calling, man. You seem like a good dude. I'm glad I got the chance to talk to you. All right, man. All right, Tiger. You have a good night.
You too.
So, Angry Mark Hyde sent a $5 super chat. He says, "Hi, villain." Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that $5 super chat. Appreciate that. All right. Is it good to go, or I need to touch it?
Nope, they're there.
American Phoenix. How you doing? How you doing there?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm having a good night. Drinking a little bit of Pendleton tonight, but not too much.
Nice. So, I just have 2 short questions. I don't want to take up too much time of yours, because I know you're pretty busy. I don't know exactly how to start this off. I guess where I am, and kind of location-wise in the United States, I'm in the part of town where people say, yeah, let's burn down the cities, yeah, all the crap you hear, and the riots will never come to us. That's just kind of the part we live in. And finally, I think yesterday, it wasn't a riot, it wasn't anything big, nothing was destroyed, but a little Trump parade came down the street where I work and volunteer at. So that was kind of my first experience with the whole thing that's happening in America since June, really. And I know you've been to riots, you've been to protests, you've been to everything big that's happened in America since then. So my 2 questions are, how is your mental health doing going through all that stress?
My mental health is not doing well, man. Like, honestly, I'm just gonna real talk with you guys. Like, I'm a scatterbrain. I'm anxious, and yeah. Aside from the riots, like COVID and everything in my life has been personally affected from that. Not just for me going into the riots, but things are upside down on several different levels of my life. But I've lost. I was a little overweight with like a malnourished child's fat belly, like the tall, skinny, fat guy. And I've lost at least 30 pounds in the last 3 or 4 months, and I'm a little scrawny right now. Where before all this happened, I was a little overweight for myself, and just kind of a neurotic mess a little bit. I'm always the guy that shows all my cards and too much information, but yeah, I'm working on that, man. I'm working on trying to like spend some time each day, like focusing on good thoughts and being around good things, and I'm trying to get away from just being in the dirty parts of cities all the time, and trying to go out to the areas that aren't affected, and just going into nature and having a walk, or walking through areas of town where people are having a good time and aren't the buildings aren't boarded up. So yeah, the mental health is a work in progress, my friend.
I'm sorry to hear that, dude, and I really hope it gets better soon. You said going through walks in nature. Do you ever worry that somebody's found out your personal identity? And have you ever gotten personal attacks? Has anybody found out your like personal info, address, things like that, and leaked it to the internet and caused personal attacks on you?
Nope, I've been pretty good, and I've avoided any and all doxing so far. Knock on wood. But you know what's stressful about me, for me in that situation, is that I kind of take a lot of extreme choices to avoid being doxxed, and it affects my personal relationships. People often feel like I'm keeping them at a distance, or I'm not respecting them. People, after a lot of events that I go out to, a lot of people will go out and have a barbecue or go out to dinner, and if I don't know everybody and trust everybody personally in that group, I can't go out with them because I can't go I can't eat with a mask on, so I can't reveal myself to people that I don't know. So it's it's a double-edged sword, and I've been talking about, and people think I was just teasing them about revealing my face. I almost did recently, but I kept evaluating it, and I'm going to keep the mask on for a little while. I hate this mask. You guys don't even know. I hate this mask so bad. I hate sneaking around, but I've weighed the pros versus the cons. I'm going to keep it on for a little while. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that perfectly answers it. Thank you. That's all I got for you. So thank you for answering. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So, all right. Unless you got any other questions, I don't know enough about you to ask any like meaningful questions about you. Oh, let me ask you this: who are you voting for?
Currently, I'm not able to vote.
Okay.
Politics is weird.
Okay.
But if I had to choose, I'd go Republican.
Okay. Another thing, and choose to answer or not answer. Say pass if you want. I'm just curious about the different people in the chat, and what is your thought on theology? What do you believe theologically?
I feel extremely stupid. Theology is exactly what? For some reason, I'm sorry, I don't know.
Theology is a fancy word for religion or spirituality or religion. God. What do you believe about God?
So, I was raised Jewish. I was raised in a Jewish home, and I went to synagogue every Sunday. Went to Sunday school up till the age of 13, had a bar mitzvah and all that stuff. Did all of that. As I grew older, I didn't go to synagogue too much, didn't go to temple really whatsoever. Now I'm starting to go back, and I'm starting to kind of just progress into it. My personal opinions on if there's a God out there, I don't know. Because I'm on kind of two sides. The logical side and the spiritual side. Logical, I don't exactly see a physical being out there. I don't see something controlling us from when we were born, like a predestined thing. But on the spiritual side, I do believe that there probably is something out there, that there could be. So, I'm on that side.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. I grew up fundamentalist Christian. I actually went to college to become a Bible pastor, a Christian pastor. I'm also a very intense, neurotic thinker. So when I was in that whole Christian world, I would swing back and forth. I would swing between what I believed was obviously true, in that God existed, in that everything was going to be all right, and He had us in His hands. And I'd swing back to the other way, to the rational thing that made me question the miraculous claims in the Bible. And when I lost my faith, I didn't even want to think about that stuff for a long time. But as in the last couple of years, when I've been coming back to like searching for God and coming to the difficult paradigm, the duality of science and reason, and faith and rationality, is that they're both true. Like, things work a certain way in the universe, and things make sense. And when people make miraculous claims without evidence, I gotta question that. But the abstract inclinations in my heart and what I see in nature clearly tell me that it's rational to believe in a God. But one thing that I found that helped me is that a lot of times when people lose their faith, what happens is they come to a point where they believe, and I did, that reality is smaller than the God that you believed in, or the God that you believed in was smaller than reality. But I think that the error is not that the God you believed in wasn't big enough. I'm having a hard time putting my words together right now. But basically, the error wasn't that you weren't accepting reality. It's the error is that you didn't have a big enough vision. I didn't have the big enough vision of what God was. So if your clash is that God doesn't match up to reality in nature, then the error is over here with how your vision of God is, because God is infinite, and you've got some kind of constraints in your mind, or I had some kind of constraints in my mind that made me think that God was smaller than reality. Sorry that I'm not articulating that well right now, but
You're good. I
what
understood
I
that.
guess what I'm saying is you got to find a bigger picture of God.
Yeah.
Destroy all the constraints that are making your God a small God. Destroy all those things, and start with the assumption that God is infinite. Start with the assumption that you're the created thing, and that the Creator must be bigger than you and bigger than your comprehension.
Yeah. Like, I did have a very kind of close-minded vision of God, because throughout middle school, it was really bad in middle school and pretty bad in high school. I was relentlessly bullied for being a Jew. Just a lot of that pretty much every single day, and it really killed me. And it made me question, if there was a God, why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
So it kind of made me question that all throughout middle school, my younger years, where I really developed that sense of religion and who I am. So that's why I have such a closed-minded view of it, but I'm trying to get back into things I want to believe. It's just, it's hard.
I feel like you're being hard on yourself, and you keep using the term closed-minded, but like you have a drive to understand things. You want to understand God, because you've interacted with people that claim to believe in a God, or they usually call it spirituality, or they get into that woo-woo language, and it's very clear that they're not actually trying to understand God. They're trying to have a feeling. But when you say you're closed-minded, I think that you were just trying very, very hard to understand God, and it was becoming difficult to you. But I don't like in the I think it's in the Torah where God tells Moses to come reason with me. And so when people try to like tell you you're having a mental roadblock, or they're trying to tell you not to think enough, or to stop thinking so much about God, stop trying to just let it be, I don't listen to those people, because I look at what it says in the Torah, and that makes sense to me. And God says to Abraham, "Come reason to me." He doesn't say, "Come feel with me," or just play it out. He says, there's this idea there presented that rationality and logic is the way to follow God. But I'd be less hard on yourself with that closed-minded stuff, and just realize that you're trying to be rational. I've talked to a lot of Christians that will just interchange when they're praying. They'll pray. Christianity has the Trinity: God the Father, God the Son, the Holy Spirit. And when they're praying to people, they'll interchange those words, and they'll just say, "Oh God the Father," or "Oh Holy Spirit," or "Oh Jesus," and it bothered me, because I felt like they were just using words, and they weren't addressing a belief system in their mind that was rationally thought out. Because if God is a person, if he's an entity, then he has attributes. And if I were to come to you, and I were to call you Phoenix, and then in the conversation I just started calling you Brad, and in the conversation I started calling you Tiffany, it's not logical. I'm no longer like addressing a person that I know, but so with all that being said, and that abstract nonsense that I'm speaking, I think that you're being hard on yourself, and you're calling yourself closed-minded, but you're trying to know God, and you're not just trying to have the right answer, but you're trying to find the right answer and actually know it. So me, with Christianity, I believe there's a God. You can't shake me from that. I'm founded in that. But I don't know about Jesus. I have not found evidence to find that Jesus was a literal historical event where he rose from the dead. I'm not saying that didn't happen, but I haven't found that to be true. And I don't want to lie about that. I don't want to lie and say that I believe something and I'm not. If I come to a belief in Jesus, I want to actually believe that strong. I'm not going to lie about it until I come to find it's true. And I think that heart is the same thing you're trying to describe when you're being hard on yourself and you're saying you're closed-minded. But I think that you're just trying to be rational, and you're trying to hold on to the concrete. But Give yourself a little grace, man. It takes work. You can't, like anything, you can't become a good boxer overnight. You can't become a good mathematician overnight, a good engineer overnight, a good doctor overnight. So to understand God isn't going to happen overnight, but you sound like you're looking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying. It's good to go back. Around a month ago, a synagogue recently just opened up due to coronavirus. They recently started having in-person services. I went back and I immediately I felt connected again, just not only with the community, just in general. So it's
Right
good
on.
to go back, and I hope to go back more.
Right on. I know what you're talking about. For me, I haven't been able to find that again, but I have gone to several Christian churches, and I wanted that sense, what you're describing, that connection again, and I can't do it. They start singing their songs, and everybody gets all emotional, and the lyrics are things that I don't believe, and I can't enter into it. But man, if you're able to enter into that thing you're describing again, I envy you, because I haven't found that again yet. But I would love to be part of a body of like-minded believers that can live life together. But I'm envious of you, man. Well, I'll ask you a question, and then we'll move on to the next caller. Out of just my own curiosity, are you an ethnic Jew, or just a religious Jew, or both?
I'd say it's actually a very good question. I'd say I'm just kind of religious. I don't do I'm not terribly into it.
Well, what I mean is that there's two ways that I've seen that people identify as a Jew. They identify as the race, and they have the heritage going back generation and generation and generation. Some of those people don't follow the religion. They're just racially Jewish. And then there are some people that do not have the racial background of Judaism, but they have converted, or their family converted, and they follow it religiously. Are you, where do you fall in?
So I think it's the racially part, I believe. Sorry, for some reason my brain isn't processing words right now.
Yeah.
But
So you have a Jewish heritage.
we have generations. Yeah, we have generations upon generations of Judaism in our family, mainly deriving from Eastern Europe and things like that. So it goes back generations and
Interesting.
things like that.
Interesting. I'm just always curious about all that has nothing to do with anything I want to talk about. That's one of my curiosities.
Oh, you're good. It's all good.
All right, man. I'll give you the last word. Is there
Thanks so
anything
much.
else you want to say before we move on to the next caller?
No, just thank you so much and keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a good deed for the community.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that encouragement, because sometimes I honestly, I start questioning, what am I doing? Is there a point to this? Am I just seeking attention? And I really dig at myself pretty hard. But then I come around, and especially when you guys give me encouragement like that, I'm trying to avoid being the person that seeks attention. I'm just trying to literally get people to talk, and I'm trying to show people that aren't aware of what's actually happening on the streets, so it doesn't get worse. But thank you for that encouragement, man. I appreciate that.
Without people like you, we wouldn't know the true story. We just see the mainstream media reporting on what they want to report. But people like you go out on the streets, practically risking their lives each day, and actually reporting on what's happening.
Yeah.
And we need more of that, honestly.
Thank you, man. And I want to say on top of that, if you guys are out in public and you see an event happening and you see the mainstream media filming or doing a report, get your camera out and film them and film what they're filming and show people. Hold them accountable. Because if they're spinning that story and we've got people on the street that are filming the cameramen, filming the news agencies, spinning stories and lying, that'll discredit them, and that'll gear them towards telling the truth more. If you've got a camera and you are out in public and you see a major news media covering an event, film them and film what they're filming. Hold them accountable, because a lot of times that's why I started doing all this, because I saw the news on the night was not selling what I was seeing happening on the ground in the Pacific Northwest, so I started sharing it. So, yeah, thank you for saying that, man.
last thing before I'll shut up and go is even if you don't hear people basically saying to you, thank you for what you're doing, always note that there are people lurking, like me. I go to your streams every time and watch just what's happening, and even though they're not saying it out loud, we really do appreciate what you're doing.
Right on, man.
We'll always keep that in the back.
I'm gonna have to make when I finally get my stuff together and start putting out merch and T-shirts. I'm gonna make a T-shirt or something that thanks my lurkers.
Please do.
All right, man. Thank you for calling in, American Phoenix, and we're gonna say goodnight and call to the next caller.
All right. Good night.
All right. Thank you. All right. While my mod switches over that, I'm gonna step off camera and have another shot of whiskey. Are you putting the next caller up?
Yeah.
Caller available?
Yeah, I think so.
We're just waiting for the next caller to be put in the room. Sorry.
There you go. Oh.
All right. Our next caller is Zero Sinky. Are you in there?
Yo.
Yeah. How you doing, Zero Sinky?
Yeah, I'm doing alright. I've been keeping track of all the chaos as of late. With all the streamers that have been keeping track of multiple things that have been happening in the nation.
Yeah.
And my primary concern is about what happened yesterday at Portland.
Okay.
The attack was so brazen in my eyes. Like the National Guard was there actually.
In Portland yesterday?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with this event. Can you describe what you're just talking about?
So yesterday, it was a front-on-front conflict between two protesters, between Patriots and Antifa, or BLM, I can't remember exactly. But some guy went past the sheriff's line. I started some drama in between a historical center and a library over there in Portland. And the victim, he actually backed up once he saw the gun drawn and tried to face the guy. The attacker already had his pistol drawn.
So are you talking about the shooting that happened in Denver yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay, that was Denver, Colorado.
Denver, Colorado. Okay. Yeah. After actual reports still had it written as Portland.
Nothing like that happened in Portland yesterday.
Okay, so now I know.
So where are you from, man?
I currently live in Arizona, but I've been Virginia man.
Virginia is where you're originally from?
Yeah. We were rather nomadic initially. I moved to Arizona, then to North Carolina to live with my dad because he was in the military, and now we're back here.
Right on. I'm having a hard time vibing with you. I want to get on the same page with you. So you wanted to bring up that that shooting that happened yesterday, the bear mace, and he pulled the gun out, and that happened in Denver. Were you wanting to make a point on that, or did you have a question about that?
Well, I was having the feeling that this whole thing was premeditated, because if you look at the footage shows an altercation going on to the left first. I feel that was a distraction for the other guy to draw and make his attack. The victor was a patriot. People were mourning his early passing.
Yeah, from the little I've been able to look up on him, he seemed like a very good man. He seemed like he was an active person in his community and trying to help things. It seemed like people loved him. He seemed like a good guy.
Yeah. On top of that shooting, my fellows at Wolf Neve, they also had reports of 2 other shootings in different locations. What I'm thinking is
Wolf,
this is only
can you
gonna
say
get worse.
that report again? Wolf what?
Wolf Neve.
Is that the restreamer?
Yeah, that's one of the restreamers.
Okay, I've people have been talking to me about him lately. I guess he's been restreaming me. I'm not familiar with him yet, but a lot of people have been saying good things about him. So
He was restreaming someone else that witnessed the event.
yeah. Okay. So what do you think about the last 4 months that's been going on? How's it been affecting you? What do you think about all these riots?
The last 4 months?
Yeah, 140 days of riots.
The riots are obviously a bad thing, that's for sure. Like, during the start of all this, I had actually heard about a black man's business getting destroyed by rioters that were claiming to protest George Floyd's death.
Yeah, that's happened a lot. There's a lot of businesses in the big cities. You can see a bunch of businesses in Portland and Seattle that have big signs in the window that say black owned or POC owned, POC owned, and they're trying to pander to the rioters to get them not to attack their building.
Yeah, as well, there was this one store owner, or was it a restaurant owner? I can't remember at this point, but he was refusing to bend the knee to these BLM rioters.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the small things that make me happy that I still have faith in humanity. But at the same time, seeing these mostly mentally ill people who are being fed misinformation and outright lies by the mainstream media, they don't have a good vibe to me at all.
Yeah, I think mental illness is a big thing in society today. I have a different view of mental illness than the accepted establishment view of it. I believe that there's a functional way. So you remember that? Have you ever done that string art thing to where you've got a board and you put a bunch of nails in the board in a certain pattern and you wrap string around it and it makes a shape? No?
I haven't heard of that.
Okay, well imagine this. Imagine you've got a piece of wood and you pound nails into the wood in the shape of a circle. And then you wrap string around it and the string forms a circle. And you can put a nail outside of the circle and then wrap string around that and it forms another shape. I believe that most of society is in that circle and they interact with each other in a comfortable, familiar way. And the further people step out from that circle with their beliefs or their actions, the less they interact well with the main group of society. And I think mental illness is the drifting away from that main group of society. You could be correct. You could have all the right thoughts and everything, but if you're not getting along with society enough to be able to interact with them on a day-to-day basis and function in the community, I think that's mental illness. So I think these
Yeah.
people that have these really, really strong beliefs that make them not able to get along with anybody, or these people that have these weird quirks of behavior that make people avoid them, I think that's mental illness. And I think a lot more people today are having a hard time forming relationships and having interactions that are healthy with other people and groups of people. And I think mental illness is going through the roof in our country.
Yeah, actually, in the discussion one chat, we were talking about how asylums were basically abandoned due to racism, and and we realize now that we should probably bring those back under a set of moral rules.
Yeah. So I'm going to respond to that, and then we'll move on to the next caller here in just a second. But what I believe is in the 60s, in the civil rights movement, in the liberal movement, it kind of declared everybody equal, and it stopped validly judging certain people. And they closed down the mental hospitals in the 60s, and they defunded them. And these people that were not functional in society, they wanted to treat them as though they were valid just like everybody else. And they might be valid in innate worth, but they're not valid in their way to function with everybody. So they shut down the mental hospitals. I don't think it had anything to do with racism. It had to do with postmodernism and the avoidance of making value judgments on any level. And we shut down the mental hospitals. But I agree. I think we need to open up the mental hospitals. I think it's cruel. Our society treats stray dogs better than it treats stray people. And you watch all these videos that are heart-wrenching where they find a stray dog that's rabid on the street, and they catch it and they put it in the cage and they love it and they clean it and they feed it for weeks and weeks and weeks, and it turns into a soft, loving dog. But people, we let these people be rabid people on the streets, and they're just out of their minds and they're crazy, and we won't judge them, and we won't take the time to judge them and love and say that they're off their mind, and we just let them keep roaming the streets, and I think that's horrible. But
Yeah, I believe so as well. If we can open up those asylums and mental hospitals, we can really help these people out.
I agree, bud. I agree. All right, Zero Sinky, thank you for calling in. I thank you for your words, and we're going to move on to the next caller. I think I created a technical difficulty.
What?
Stand by. Please stand by. Brent Walker says, what's with the mask? You're probably new to my channel. Originally, the first night of the riots in Portland, Oregon, I went out and masked up just so I could fit in with the Antifa and just be able to see from my first hand what was happening. Started filming and streaming for quite a while, and I kept the mask on to avoid doxing, avoid people that hate me from finding my personal information, my address, and all that kind of stuff to get attacked. And Nolan.
Hey, villain.
Hold on one second, Nolan. I'm gonna finish responding to this guy, and then I'll hit you up. Just hold on one second. So the mask is for my protection of my personal identity. I want to take it off, and I'm gonna do that at some point, but now is not the moment. And then the mask benefits still outweigh the cons. So, all right, we got my mod, one of my original mods, NJ75TV, and Nolan Jorgensen. All right, man.
Yeah.
What's up,
How
man?
you been? How you holding up?
The last couple days, the last week has been pretty good for me. The last couple weeks before that were kind of tumultuous, and I was kind of going through some like depression and some like hopelessness. But and I think a lot of people were going through that. But this last week, I found a new spark of hope, and things are good today. How are you doing?
That's good, man. I'm getting frustrated with everything that's going on in the world and stuff. Just like, but we just gotta hang in there. Hopefully it all ends after this election, but I don't think it will be. So we just gotta hang through this ride of trying time.
One thing that I'm really, and it's probably going to make people depressed for me to say this, but it's actually something that encourages me. I'm focusing on the meaning of this life, and I think the meaning of this life is where you land in the next realm. And so I'm trying to like realize that we need to do what we're convicted to do, regardless of the outcome here. Like so, if you do what you believe is right and you lose here, you still do what you right and put your investments in the next realm.
Yeah, there's actually a lot to that, and I can tell you a lot of stuff offline that I've personally gone through, and it's hard for me to explain it because people think I'm crazy. I used to be big into stuff on YouTube, which I now don't do anymore because I was getting doxxed, and I'm all over the internet. If you ever want to look me up, you can find me easily. But yeah.
All right. Well,
But
I appreciate all the modding you're doing for me on my several platforms. I have a really hard, I have an amazingly hard time associating people on their different platforms and who they are in person and their different names. But you're one of the people that I know who you are on different platforms.
yeah, I mean, I'm not hiding who I am. I mean,
I am.
I hate to say it like that, but I know you have. I got ousted by Google a long time ago because originally Google, when YouTube was acquired by Google, I had a different screen name.
Uh-huh.
But overnight, they put my real name out there automatically, and I was like, well, not hiding anymore. So that's why I say that like that. But if I could choose anonymity, I probably would, because then I could continue doing what I used to do with discretion.
Yeah.
But
you know what you said about that is I'm less afraid that I'm gonna get doxxed by Antifa or Black Lives Matter or some crazy fan. I'm more afraid that Twitter or Facebook are gonna dox me. And that sounds crazy, but with my recent censorship that Facebook's been putting me on recently,
that happened to me too.
There are certain situations where when I go to deal with those issues, they inappropriately deal with my private information, and it kind of spooks me a little bit. But and then Twitter hasn't censored me very much, but I've had a couple of problems with people putting death threats out on me on Twitter and trying to put personal information out on Twitter, and I've contacted to Twitter, and one time they demanded me to scan my driver's license and send them a photocopy scanned of my driver's license to Twitter in order to get them to deal with the death threat that was put on me. It was a blatant, obvious death threat, and for them to ask me to scan my driver's license to send them, I was just like, okay, there's obviously an Antifa dude working the help desk today, but I couldn't believe that. So that's where I feel fear doxing comes from. I'm not too worried about Antifa and Black Lives Matter. I don't really put too much credit into them being able to do stuff. But those tech companies, man, I think they're gonna dox me.
Yeah, they're out of control. It's just you get the wrong people in one of these industries, and it can ruin somebody financially and physically because of the way the world works.
Yeah.
It's like last night, man. After I heard the rumor of what happened in Denver, Colorado,
Yeah.
I was like, "Is this really happening?" And then I started searching Twitter, and then it was like the rabbit hole kept getting deeper. And there's so much information out there on this, what happened, and the guy's background and everything. It's just horrible. It's horrible. And I knew the second that it happened, it was another J incident, and it turns my stomach. And like, especially with you, I always have to watch. Once I start watching you, I have to wait to make sure you make it to your car safe, because I worry about you.
Yeah. Today was one of the first times in a while where I was actually worried about being able to make it to my car undetected. I thought they were going to follow me, but
Yeah.
because they were organizing an attack on me, but I was able to pop out of there once they had a moment of distraction, and nobody followed me, so it worked out, you know.
Yeah, I honestly believe their numbers were smaller because they got the crap kicked out of them last night by Portland PD. A lot of them got arrested, and it wasn't pleasant. I know you've seen the videos, but
Who got the crack kicked out of them?
Antifa.
a lot of the Antifa people
Last night?
Portland PD shut it down their march on them last night.
Yeah.
And they arrested a whole bunch of them.
Good.
Like they just swamped them.
A lot of people criticized me
I know,
really
right?
hard when I talked about. I criticized Portland PD for I use sensational words and I mention this a lot. I try not to, but I did that night. I spoke really impulsively, but I am all for Portland PD beating those assholes down, but if they're going to beat them down, they need to arrest them. To use force like that, to use violence, for the state to use violence and not arrest the person that they're using violence on is a very, very, very dangerous precedent, and we don't want to go down that road. We don't want the state to be able to beat people up without pressing charges on them. That's a bad place. But if Portland PD are beating up these rioters and these terrorists while they're arresting them, good job, guys. Good job. Bonuses all around.
Yeah, I mean, it comes to a certain level of degree of control and their job. And if they're just going to knock somebody to the ground and like they're going to be hurt on the ground and they're just going to walk away and leave them, nah. If you're going to hurt them, you better take them to jail.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah. If you got the right to use force, then you've got the right to arrest. And if you don't arrest, then you've got no business using force.
Yeah. And that, I mean, at least then you know they're going to actually be seen by an actual medical technician when they get to jail.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not some fake medic on the street. But I don't know. I just wish people would wake up, start being more humane to each other. This is ridiculous. The guy that came up to you today, he immediately jumped your case, immediately instigated being outlandishly violent, agitated. Is crazy.
He was you know what he was doing? He was pissing on his turf.
Yeah. And I think it was a lot because I think if he's part of that kitchen, he doesn't want you filming the fact that it is so unsanitary.
It's so disgusting.
That is just a health issue.
So gross.
COVID-19.
Those kitchens are so gross. I think from Kalen on Twitter, Kalen Scriber, he snuck in there during one of the riot purges, and he got the most disgusting videos. That was Riot Ribs. And this is a different organization, but they've got a lot of the same equipment, and they'd have a lot of the same practices. But it's grody, bro. It's some grody stuff. I wouldn't eat from them.
I wouldn't eat anything.
You're gonna catch hepatitis, gonorrhea, chlamydia.
It's still contaminated. I'm sorry. That's bad.
All right, Nolan. I'm
I've seen some bad stuff.
gonna give you the final words. You pick you pick one more topic, and we'll hit that up, and then we'll move on to the next caller.
I'm not looking at anything. Let's see. Well, my final words to you is always keep your head on a swivel and stay safe. And I'll always keep watching, and I got your back.
Yeah.
If you get to Sacramento, hit me up.
All right, man. I'm gonna be at. It's not too far from you. If you want to hang out, I'm gonna be in San Francisco next Saturday. We're having a free speech and tech censorship rally in front of the Twitter headquarters next Saturday.
Oh, I wish I could. I so wish I could.
Hit me up on Twitter and DMs, and we'll see if we can arrange a time in that window if it's possible.
All right. Are you driving down? No, I shouldn't ask this on the thing. But,
I'm not gonna
I'm
answer
assuming
that. I'm not
you're
gonna.
not
I'm
flying
not
to San
gonna.
Francisco.
I'm not gonna tell people my my travel plans on the line.
Yeah. All right, man. The zombie killer girl can hit me up, or just add me. I'll message you through Discord.
I don't like the Discord platform very well. You can message me on Twitter. We have a conversation going on the Twitter DM already. Message me on there.
Oh, okay. I'll just use that same conversation then.
All right, man.
All right.
Thank you so much for all the modding you're doing. Like, it helps me out a lot. The way
I
these
mean, I try to do my best.
the way these tech platforms are coming for me, my mods are saving me from deplatform. The terrorists come into my platforms and they try to just say the most vile things and try to get me shut down, which is a horrible policies by these tech companies, to where I'm responsible for somebody else's speech. But thank you for modding, man. I really appreciate you.
But you take care. I'll hit you up.
All right, man. You have a good night.
All right, you too.
I feel like I'm supposed to be more presentable and I'm supposed to stare at the camera, but when I'm talking to people, I'm that awkward guy that looks at my feet and looks at the sky and counts the ceiling tiles, and so I'm supposed to stare at the camera, but that's not me. That's not me. Somebody just said, how do you call in? If you go to the description of this video, there's a link to the Discord discussion. If you have a Discord account, you can do that. It's really easily. Go on Discord and create an account, and then click on that link, and you'll be able to join my server and go into the discussion. I would buy Cops Krispy Kremes.
I will also post it.
I thought you were knitting a basket. Oh, is that, you thought I was looking down at my feet? You thought I was working on my needlecraft? Yeah, no.
Knitting.
I'm kind of an ADD person, so I've always got something in my hands fidgeting. So we got the next person, the sneak.
The sneak.
So do I need to touch anything, or is he on there?
Sneak is in
I'm
there.
here, bro.
Hi, the sneak. How you doing, the sneak?
I'm doing fine, man. It's nice to talk to you.
Good to hear from you.
You know, I just wanted to call in here real quick on your book tonight and just give some love real quick for watching you. And I wanted to say, man, your approach is blessed. I like that you get the time to actually sit and try to talk to them. Even though you know that's not what the name is, even though you know what it's all about, still those words come out your mouth and they're forever. They hurt them. There's no undoing. And I also like the fact that you stand and you don't play the neutral crybaby. You don't play like you're something you're not. Let people know we stand. And I want to let you know, man, everybody out here that's interested in the truth, I mean, for truth, I mean, weapon from 80. We appreciate you. We love you, and I pray for you. I'm a big old believer in God. I got the Bible underneath my belt. I'm telling you, from God's word, brother. And I really want to thank you for the news now, man.
Thank you, man. That's really encouraging to me. As I've said a couple times, like, sometimes I just start over criticizing myself and I start questioning everything, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, why am I dressing up in these costumes and wearing riot gear and walking out to these dangerous places, and like, what am I doing? But
no more double excuses, dude. You gotta do what you gotta do in the moment, and you know what? It ain't gonna pay to be a backseat driver to your own trip. You know what I'm saying, dude? Do
Yeah.
the best you can, and forget it. Don't cry, no apologizing about it. You're doing fine, man.
thanks, bud. That means a lot to me. It means a lot to me. What's
Brave.
Can I ask?
Some bitch, man. You're a real American. Real American.
Yeah.
You're preserving that freedom and making an excuse for corruption. You know, I also want to give a little shout out to BLM and Antifa right now. Because let's face it, corruption is up to the asshole, right? I'm setting up the link. But corruption is up to us. And, you know, unfortunately, these places aren't getting the scrutiny that is long and needed. I'm not saying I'm not dissing cops. not in one way. I know, there's bad priests, there's bad pastors, bad doctors. We're seeing bad everything. And I want to say out to Antifa, BLM, Proud Boys, just regular old patriots, Joe Schmoes. No matter who you think the enemy is, one thing we all need to agree on: Americans killing Americans is their plan, and every time it happens, we're giving them what they want. Whether you think it's Donald Trump, whether you think Joe Biden, whether you think it's Bill Blow, they want us shooting each other, because that's what's going to make them strong.
Yeah, a divided house cannot stand. I think you're using a lot of words that are going to make people a lot probably angry and against you. But I hear what you're saying. One thing I've noticed recently is that before all this stuff happened, the patriots were very strongly anti-federalization. They were anti-federal government, but right now they're so focused on hating Antifa and hating Black Lives Matter, and Black Lives Matter hates the government, and Antifa hates the government. So patriots have backed off on their criticism of the federal government, and I think we need to make sure that, and I find myself like this. People have claimed that I'm flip-flopping on things, but I'm trying to examine things and trying to be honest where I'm at the moment. And I have always been against an overpowerful federal government, the federal government coming in and federalizing local governments. I think that's very, very dangerous. So I understand what you're saying. We need to stop this unelected bureaucratization of America. We need to stop the centralized power. One of the central themes of the founding of America was decentralized power, to where the local communities get to decide how they're going to live. There's not some overarching authority across the country, thousands of miles away, that are going to tell you how your street is supposed to be paved and how your grocery store is supposed to be stocked. And so I agree with what you're saying. I'm pretty hesitant to give any props to Black Lives Matter or Antifa, but when I'm honest and when I'm able to have a clear, concise discussion, there are some things that those groups are bringing up that I agree with.
Well, like, they should be aware of some of the people they're hating on. They oath keepers, okay? They were labeled Nazis the very second they took the ground. The oath keepers, militias, those kind of guys, they originally stood up because of reaction to the movie Ridge over the government blowing tanks on psycho warfare, labeling Christians, everything is terrorist.
Yeah.
People in return, homes being threat, and they just snowball from there. We're the ones that kicked up and stuff in the.
So I'm gonna paraphrase. I'm gonna paraphrase everything you said so far, because your audio is coming through pretty bad, so I don't know if the audience is hearing it very well. He's saying that the patriots originally rose up against the government, against the federal government, for things like Ruby Ridge and Waco and the ATF, the crazy expansion of the ATF. Those are things that the patriot militias originally started forming in the 80s and the 90s. But all of a sudden, the patriot groups, the militias, have turned their attention away from the federal government towards the terrorists, the Black Lives Matter, Antifa. But I think what we're both saying right now is you can be against these terrorist tactics that these groups are using, and you can also hold to your original belief that the centralization of government should be stopped, and the power grabs of the federal governments can still be stopped. So we can agree with Antifa and Black Lives Matter on those things. Like, don't demonize groups or people so much that you can't agree with them when they're being rational. When Antifa and Black Lives Matter are calling out the extreme power grabs of the federal government, we need to admit that they're right on that fact. But if we admit that they're right on one thing, that doesn't mean that we have to admit that they're right for burning down buildings or attacking citizens or attacking businesses.
I see them in no way giving them props for their methods whatsoever.
Yeah.
I'm only saying that they are
reaction to a real problem. And we can't address the real problem, and we can agree on that in a lot of ways. I happen to have been a fan who was a victim of an unarmed police kill, and it was a thing gone wrong, and in fact, I don't want to get into it, but, I'm white, so it don't matter. Like, they don't get it. We get it. We get it. And their agitators just prevent them from having a kind of a dialogue with us, so they'll realize that. Yeah, get it. There's a lot of people sitting in jail don't deserve it, all different colors, and it's all because of a corrupt system that just railroads people through that they choose. We can get it, but here's the thing, man. Revolution always leads to the wrong people getting killed. It's innocent to die in those people are playing these political games, and they don't know what they're doing. I feel bad for them. So,
Yeah, it's George Orwell's Animal Farm. One set of pigs get taken down for another set of pigs in fancy suits to get taken up, and that's not a metaphor for cops. But George Orwell, Animal Farm, man. That's exactly what you're saying.
And one last thing I want to leave you, and I'm going to go ahead and one last thing to leave everybody that I can hear is every man according to his works. I don't give a shit what your dad did. If it's cool to me, I'm cool to you. It's 400 years ago, 300 years ago, 200 years ago, 10 years ago shit. Got to go. We're one nation, man. We're all brothers. It's how we treat each other today. Every man according to his works. Don't be judging anybody by nothing else other than that.
Yeah.
Anything other than that, you're being led by the enemy.
Yeah, I think it was Jesus in the New Testament. It might have been Paul, but I think it was Jesus that said, "You'll be judged by what." I'm paraphrasing horribly, but you'll be judged by what you're given. If you're given 10 talents, you're going to be judged for giving 10 talents. If you're given 1 talent, you're going to be judged for that 1 talent. So whatever plate you were given in life, you got to play that plate as best as possible, and not be mad that you were set up in a situation where you were making $50,000 a year and this other dude's making $1 billion a year. You got to play your card. You got to play the card you were dealt.
Yeah, man. My material state is miserable. My spiritual state is enormous. You know what I mean? And I won't have it any other way. And I'm glad you see it that way, man. You have a lot of compassion in your heart. You have a lot of love for people, brother. And I just want to let you know, man, that that's the way it's going to be going forward, the way you do.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Sometimes I criticize myself so much, and eventually I'll do my live stream where I talk about the struggles I've had personally in my life. But a lot of times I see that compassionate nature in myself as effeminate or weak or cowardly. But I think that's
it's experience. It's wisdom.
Yeah, I think that's a common problem in our society today, where men feel like any expression of kindness in America makes them weak, and it's actually strength. When you're a man and you're able to show vulnerability and be kind to people in a situation that's not beneficial to you, that's big strength. And I think we need to teach our boys to be kind more and to show compassion more, because we're being taught by the media that you got to keep that angry face on all the time, and you got to keep everybody at a distance and keep your mystery and anger in order to be a masculine man. But the men that I know that are confident enough to be kind and compassionate, those are the masculine men that I look up to.
Yeah, my pops, he's the nicest man I ever met. Soft. Soft and money, get his shirt off his back. But I guarantee he wouldn't give his life, but it's just not that they were innocent. Brave, but you don't see it. Well, and that's the thing with working with people, that just, that's honestly, you have just burned your life out there, brother. That's just.
You got to come closer to your mic, Snake. There you go.
Sorry, brother. It's strength that just doesn't need to be said. We're dealing with people who have worked their entire lives providing for other people, have drained their lives. You know what I mean? Their physical being, mental being, and just drained it. Just being a man.
Yeah.
Just being a man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just suck 20 years out of their life, less than everybody else, just breaking their back, doing nothing but putting food on the table. And the kids don't appreciate him, man. The old lady don't appreciate him, you know. Talked about like shit on TV, and you know we just plug on, and plug on. You know what? Because that's what we do, bro. That's what we do. We don't cry.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree with everything you're saying
Right?
right now. We gotta create a society where it's the problem isn't that man is sacrificing decades of his life. That's the virtue. But we gotta create a society where we respect those men that sacrifice. We gotta get back to respecting that, to where we can just take a man's labor through taxation and give it to other people, and they don't have to give him any respect or any love for that work he did. That's upside down. We got to get back to a society where we respect those men that are toiling day in and day out. The biggest thing that's hard to do for a man is just to go to work every day. You go to work every day. You do the same thing every day. You just keep doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. I worked in the oil field, and one of the heads of the oil fields, one of the heads of these big companies came out and talked to us one day, and he was telling us the secret to his success. He's like, you go to work and you learn your job, and you go to work and you do it. And you go to work your next day and you do it. And you go to work the next day and you do it. And you just do it and you 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 do it. And that was how simple his message was. And that's how he became, I believe he was a billionaire. And he said, you just keep doing it over and over and over and over. And we need to respect men and stop belittling that, because a lot of men have a lot of despair today because they feel like their lives are meaningless because they just go to work every day and they just do it over and over and over and over. That's because they're not receiving the love and respect for what they should be for that. It is actually a great feat. It's not us complaining and being belittled and being childish or being whiny. For a man to sacrifice his freedom and his wild nature to be constrained to go to work day after day after day and to provide for somebody, that is something extremely virtuous. And our society has stopped thanking men for doing that. But we need to get back to that.
4 o'clock in the morning, whether you got a fever or your truck's busted, and you don't want to hear shit, dude. You ain't there, you're gone, and you're homeless. The wife left you, and everything. It can happen that fast. And it happens just like that dude talked to today. You know what I mean? Sitting out there, and you know his old he left him, and he just forgot how to want to live. It was that simple. You know, he just ran out of get. We're covered in it. We're making more and more every day, and those are the people slipping through. You know, those are the people. Black Lives Matter ain't out for him. You know, imagine if they how many days has it been? 124. How much money has been given to them? That's an army that could have already solved our homeless problem, bro. They could have solved that shit right now. They had the political will and power. They had the money. They had the organization. They had the ability. They had the time to do it. We're all locked down on COVID. We're trying to get off the street anyways, right? But no. See, I know what you're saying. I know what you mean. Don't mind. BLM. I'm just saying, you know, we can't just dismiss them. They wouldn't be here if it wasn't for something else. And, you know, they're doing a lot of them. You know, they want to do the right thing, but they've been already pre-programmed. I don't know if you've been in odd religion cult. I have. Let me tell you, one of the things that they all have in common is they tell you the outside world's so freaking tricky. The other religion is so freaking tricky. The other books are so tricky. The devil is so tricky that if you listen for 1 minute, he'll have you. And in this case, if you listen to those people, they'll be watching you'll be a Nazi. Who wants to be a Nazi?
Yeah.
It's tough, you know. How do you break through? They've been told everything you hear from us is Nazi tricks.
I agree with almost everything you're saying, man. There's not very many people I've been able to talk to that have articulated my my desire to dialogue with Antifa, Black Lives Matter. I despise what those groups stand for, but I still try to talk to those groups, and I don't disagree with everything they say. And for you to articulate that very well makes me feel like I'm relating with you pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next caller. I'm going to give you the last word. I want to thank you for what you're saying. And before I give you the last word, I'm going to say that the conversation that we had, I feel like what we, the theme of it was we need more patriarchy. We need more patriarchy, not less patriarchy. We need more patriarchy. We need more fathers, more strong men, more dedicated men, and we need more people respecting those roles. But I'll give you the last word, Sneak.
You hear it here first from Villain Phoenix. Dicks out, boys.
What'd you say?
You heard it here first from Villain Phoenix. Dicks out, boys.
Dicks out. All right, man. Thanks for calling in, Snake. We're going to move on to the next conversation. You have a good night.
Okay.
So I'm getting news that the Portland terrorists just Jefferson Roosevelt. They just toppled a Roosevelt statue here in Portland in the South Blocks. I don't know the exact intersection of that right now, but those jerks are circling back to their old tactics from a while back, and they're toppling statues again. Roosevelt, Teddy Roosevelt, dude was good guy. It's funny that Pacific Northwest is attacking Teddy Roosevelt statues because that's the park dude. That's like the nature dude. That's the guy that protected wild spaces. And they're gonna attack his statue up here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. Terrorists, you bunch of fascists telling people who can have a statue and who can't. Yosemite Villain. They looted the Oregon Historical Society. No way! Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? In Portland, Nerdigans Incorporated says, I got someone saying they looted the Oregon Historical Society.
Really?
That's in Portland, right?
Yeah.
That's the museum downtown.
Right down on.
There's no
Broadway.
other place where there's an Oregon Historical Society, right?
on
So it's that one.
Broadway.
They looted the Oregon Historical Society. That is the fingerprint of communism. They're going and attacking our artifacts and our history and trying to erase it. If you know anything about communism, that's what they do. They go and destroy the temples. They destroy the warehouses, the museums, the history. We're waiting for our next caller to come in the chat. I can't believe that. The Oregon Historical Society? You can't communist any harder than that. Like, if you're going to communist, you better communist that way, because that's, wow. No live streamers there. I'm gonna be right back.
Yeah, restart this one?
Yeah, restart. All right. Okay. All right.
Okay, maybe it's my.
So those of you trying to call in, Discord crashed, I think, and so we're gonna restart it right now. Dude, they looted the Historical Society.
It's crazy.
No streamers are down there? How do you guys know that that's happening if there's no streamers down there?
Mainstream media just put it out
MSM?
on the Theodore, on the Roosevelt statue.
The statue. But how do you guys know that the Historical Society, the museum, how do you know that that's been attacked? Twitter? I'm gonna get a new phone here pretty soon. My backup phone is still missing somewhere. It wasn't a very good smartphone, but Coin News.
I'm not.
Oregon Historical Society? Are you kidding me? Like, we've come to that level now? They're attacking the... Whew, that is... If that is not organized by trained Marxists, there's no way that the mob just targeted the museum. There's no way that a mob targeted the museum. What's up, Legion? How you doing? We got our next caller here. Legion is on our Discord. How you doing, Legion?
Going, dude. It was good seeing you today.
I don't associate the name Legion. Were you out in?
Let's just I gave you your awesome Justice J t-shirt.
Okay, okay. I know who I'm talking about now. I know who I'm talking to.
What's up, dude?
Dude, I'm just finding information right now. They are attacking the Oregon Historical Society, the museum downtown. One of the museums. They are looting a museum
my
downtown.
God. Wonderful.
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to, I don't do this stuff, but for you, I made it work.
Yeah.
But,
We're trying to make it work here too.
I want to see what you think about what happened today with a specific group of people that came down to another person's event and decided it was a good idea to take speed paint and start tagging things.
All right. So what Legion's talking about today, we had a patriotic event down in front of the Justice Center today, and there were some conservatives that went over to one of the Portland newspaper stands. It's a metal box about 5 or 6 feet long with different cubbies from newspapers. The thing was covered in spray paint from the communists and the terrorists already, and some of the conservatives went over there and spray painted things like F Antifa and all communists are bastards. My thoughts on that, I don't really care. I don't really care. I think it's kind of petty, but at the same time, I feel like the conservatives, their patriots, are getting worked up, and they're seeing all this stuff happening so much, and they're just angry, and they just want an outlet. And, you know, that thing was covered in graffiti already, and that whole park block there is all destroyed and disgusting looking and trashed.
Yep.
And so I don't feel like they destroyed anything or made anything worse than it already was. I think it was kind of a
They
petty
tagged a
act,
lot more than
but
just that today, though.
but I also think that they let off a little steam in a way that didn't really cause any problems. So I don't really care about it. I think it was petty, but I don't really care.
But do you think we should be stooping to that level?
I think me and Black Preacher talked about this on our streams today. We were discussing this a little bit, and I think that the people that are focused, like I said, I think it's petty, and it's a small thing, and it is what it is. People are high tension. You got to have your stress out some way. You got to have some kind of show of frustration, but to focus on somebody spray painting on a mailbox, a newspaper box that was already covered in spray paint, rather than focusing on 140 days of riots, I don't really care. I don't care that they spray painted on that box. I don't care. It's a bad optic, but it doesn't matter what the conservatives do. The left in the media and the leftists and the rioters they're gonna frame any time that the conservatives step out of line. They're gonna frame that as evidence that they're evil, and we don't want to be the conservatives and patriots don't want to be like the left. We don't want to eat our own. Big whoop. They spray painted a mailbox that already was covered in spray paint. Big whoop. Who gives a damn? It's not that big of a deal.
They spray painted the mailbox. They spray painted the monument, sidewalk, a couple buildings. It wasn't just that they did today.
Oh, I did see that yellow spray paint on the platform for the I don't remember the name of it. The Pioneer Settlement statue that's been taken down, but the base of it's still on there. Yeah, I don't care.
But what it
I don't
comes
care.
down to is the person that organized that event. It's down there to show support for the police and to be peaceful and be the light in the dark. And the way she sees it is that, if a peaceful protest is not for you, then you shouldn't come down to them.
Yeah.
Because that's not what they're about, is going around tagging stuff and defacing property, which, you're right, it was already defaced, but,
Yeah.
we don't want to put our names on that.
Yeah, I don't care. We need to give some grace to the conservative side. We don't want to eat our own like the left does. I don't care. I really don't care. Once let's deal with the 140 days of rioting and prosecute all the rioters, and then after that, if we want to deal with 1 day of tagging on things that were already covered in spray paint, then we can deal with that. But until we deal with the terrorists that have been rioting for 140 days, I don't give a damn that some patriots, out of frustration, spray painted some structures that were already spray painted. Like I said, a couple people today, if they would have gone up to the Justice Center or to the federal buildings that have been cleaned up and spray painted on like clean surfaces, that would have made me a little bit mad. But people are angry and people are frustrated, and there's no really healthy way to let their stuff out. And I think it was petty. I don't condone it, but I don't really care. I don't care.
Yeah. So, what do you think about horrible artwork being completely disappearing and all the garbage being cleaned up down there?
The Nightmare Elk. I'm glad they got rid of that thing. I don't believe that any crimes were committed. That Nightmare Elk was a piece of private property. The place that it was set on was public property. So somebody took their private property and they left it and they abandoned it on a public street. So as far as I can care,
It's not illegal to clean up trash.
that's a good way to look at that. That thing was hideous and disturbing, and the fact that they tore down and destroyed such a beautiful statue, that thing was an iconic landmark of Portland, Oregon. There are probably two things that I can think of in Portland that everybody knows and loves. That's the Made in Oregon sign at the west side of the Burnside Bridge and the elk statue. And for the rioters to destroy the elk statue, boy howdy, you guys, boy howdy. Like, I got no love for them for doing that. That was ridiculous. That was one of the most beautiful statues the way it was placed, the trees around it, the fountain. That was a work of beauty, and it was an iconic structure in Oregon in Portland for over 100 years. And for them to destroy that and then replace it with that hideous, demonic, evil Nightmare Elk. I'm glad the mystery men came and stole that thing away and got rid of it. I hope they turn it into beauty.
For everyone watching, that will not be the last time everyone will set elk. And that elk is now a patriot. And that elk will be voting for 2020.
So the elk is voting for Trump.
Oh, yes. and it will not be the last time everyone sees that elk.
I'm glad, man. I thought it was funny. Dustin, one of the guys in the wheelchairs today, was trying to grill me on that, and he was trying to make me feel guilty for that, that they took that elk. And then people yesterday were trying to grill me online, saying that the conservatives and the patriots were hypocritical for taking that elk. They called it theft. But as far as I'm concerned, that was a piece of property that was abandoned in the public square, and it was hideous and finders keepers. And I hope that thing, there's that term beauty from ashes. I hope that ugly, disgusting thing is used by somebody very, very, very creative and talented and turns it into something beautiful and meaningful.
It will be very, very patriotic.
I feel like there's some foreshadowings in this conversation here.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to give you the last word, and then we're going to move on to the next caller. What you got for me?
Just want people to start getting up off the couch and come out to the alleys and stuff and get their word out and show support.
All right. I am on that with you. I kind of stopped harping on that for a little while now because I think I got discouraged. But get off your couch and come out to an event. Come out to a rally. Call your representatives. Demand that these terrorists, these treasonous politicians resign. Demand that the good politicians indict them and send them to prison. Kate Brown, Ted Wheeler, Joanne Hardesty, Commie Mike, you guys need to go to jail for the rest of your lives.
Yep. All a person needs to do is look up the definition and read it thoroughly of a domestic terrorist and tie those definitions to either Antifa, the riots, or people in power in the government, and you'll realize they fit the domestic terrorists almost to a T.
I agree, man. All right, Legion.
Bye,
Thank you for calling in, and
Bye,
I'll
man.
see you again. I'm looking forward to these foreshadows of this patriotic Trump voting elk.
All right, man. Let's just say it was fun.
All right. You have a good night, man.
All right, you too.
We got someone lined up next.
Yeah, I think there's like 3 or 4 of them.
Okay. Let's get a let's try to get a woman in here. I hate that affirmative action kind of stuff, but we've talked to only men so far, and I know there's quite a lot of women that are in my followers base. So let's make sure we get a girl in here next.
She's got a chrysanthemum mum right now.
Chrysanthemum mum?
Yeah, chrysanthemum mum.
All right.
So we here's chrysanthemum mum.
So Angry Widow, hold on one second, Chrysanthemum mum. Angry Widow, I see you in your chat a little bit, but I don't know if you get the same name in Discord, but maybe send. I didn't put the email up in discussion, but how can they contact you?
Just send it to your Twitter and then you can forward them and give them my email.
I can't get on my Twitter right now.
No, but we'll do it afterwards.
But they want to be added into they're begging to be in the conversation.
Oh. Well, I'll give it to her on here.
Okay.
It's there.
It's this one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we've got Chrysanthemum 47. Is that how you say that?
Yeah, it's just a play on my name and the flower.
All right.
Anyway. So hi, I haven't heard one of these before. I don't know. Somebody said this was your first call-in, so.
This is. We are experimenting tonight, so you feel to give yourself a lot of grace, and please give me a lot of grace.
Sure. Thanks. So I guess I've been watching your streams, not very long, maybe a month or so. But I have a question, I guess. I was wondering.
Yeah, she dropped. Let's try to get her back in here. She dropped out of the conversation. While we're waiting to get her back in here, I am very, very disturbed that the rioters have attacked a museum. The Oregon Historical Society.
Roosevelt, Abe Lincoln, and then painted and broke windows of the Oregon.
2 statues?
Yeah.
And it's pouring rain outside tonight. I can't believe they're out there rioting anyways. But for them to... they attacked a museum, you guys. They looted a museum tonight. Like, if you don't understand what communism is, if you still have like this altruistic, naive view of communism, you need to read the history. Them attacking a museum, that is pivotal. That is them showing their true colors. That is them trying to erase history. Call on, Josh said, call her on dropped. 1 second. So we're going to get her back in there. But that is what communism is. If you guys are still naive about what communism really is, read the history. Look at them attacking museums and attacking historical structures. They are trying to erase history. That's why they're toppling statues. They are trying to erase history. All right, Chrysanthemum 47, we got you back?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Did you guys hear it?
Yeah, I can hear you now. It's okay.
Okay. So, I don't know if I rambled on for a little bit, but can you hear me now?
I can hear you. I can hear you good.
I just hear these beeps. It must be this Discord.
We've got a bunch of different computers and phones open up right now, so that just go ahead on.
So basically, I'm wondering why these people are out here rioting, protesting, killing each other, fighting, spitting on each other, macing each other, when if they would just look within the walls of their own home, they probably don't get along with their parents, their siblings, their cousins. Why waste all of this energy when it's pretty much impossible for everybody to get along?
Yeah, that makes me think about Jordan Peterson, and he says before you try to criticize the structures of the world, you got to clean your own room. And it's something I've been harping on for months and months and months. Is the common thread through society right now, and especially in the riots, is broken homes and dysfunctional family structures, and I think it's much easier to attack some big giant thing like the government or the structures of the state that you're involved in than to just tackle the day by day things. Like one of the callers before, we were talking about how it is actually, it doesn't seem like it, but when you actually learn, see it for what it is, it's an incredible act of virtue for a man to go to work day after day after day after day and provide for his family. Just that mind-numbing small act that's done over and over and over consistently is the virtue. So I think people are trying to grasp at the easy fruit, the low-hanging grapes, and rather than just dealing with their own personal life. And I think I'm guilty of that too. Like I'm out here, like my life isn't all in order, and I'm out here trying to criticize society and film all these riots and stuff, and trying to analyze. Like I think the Christianity has been kicked out from under the Western civilization. I don't have my stuff in line, but then again, I'm not going out and attacking people or burning buildings down and stopping people from living their lives. So, back to you.
Yeah, so I just wish that people would stop and think about that, because it's pretty much impossible to achieve what they're supposedly trying to achieve. We all know that we're all human. We all know that we're equal. Of course, there's extreme people, but if you can't get along with your brother, you're not going to get along with somebody in Florida and you live in Washington.
Yeah.
You're not going to get, and you bump into them. I mean, it's impossible. It's being a human, and that's just the way it is. And it's getting exhausting.
I agree. Like the way you worded that makes me convicted to try to get along with the people in my personal life well, because I can talk to an audience or a crowd or a group pretty well, but you guys don't know this about me because you haven't met me in person, but I have a hard time sometimes keeping long-term relationships one-on-one with people, because I have a bunch of quirks and a bunch of idiosyncrasies in my personality, and anyways, what you're saying is kind of convicting me to try a little bit hard in my personal realm.
I gotta do that too.
Yeah. What part of the country are you from?
I'm up by Seattle, actually. Unfortunately.
You're in the Thunderdome.
Yeah, I'm like an hour south of Seattle,
Yeah.
so I avoid Seattle like the plague. But yeah.
I was in Seattle yesterday, and every time I go into Seattle, I like it more and more. It's a very beautiful city. I have a hard time with the gray weather of the Pacific Northwest, but the way that city is laid out, the structures and all the amenities that are available there, if you can like kind of erase the gangs and the anarchists and the riots and CHOP and like, whitewash all of Seattle, like you just pay attention to the mostly peaceful protest part of Seattle and ignore the not peaceful protest part of Seattle, it's kind of a beautiful city.
Well, I heard, I've seen it's full of a bunch of this, so I don't know if it's just bad karma in the area.
Yeah.
But,
Are you from the Olympia area?
no, kind of near Tacoma.
Yeah.
So.
Are you,
yeah.
okay, you got to give me the details. I love nature, and I haven't explored northern Washington too much. Is there somewhere that are you an outdoors person? Is there somewhere that's beautiful that you want to tell me I need to go check out?
Yeah, I actually just got back. I was over, or up and over in a place called Mazama, Winthrop, Washington. Is a really cool, like, old Western kind of town.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And it's way different scenery than on the West Coast. So it's kind of up by Canada,
Mithra?
but not. It's about 4 hours hours from here. So
I'll have to check that out. Have you explored? I can't think of the correct first word for it right now, but the crest. What is it? The Olympian crest or the Columbia crest? But that northwest point of Washington, where it's like a mostly wild and.
I don't know. I don't know what that is. You mean
Do you-
like
Do you know what I'm talking about,
no.
Molly?
Mhm.
On the
Where?
map, the northwest point of the northwest point of Washington, the something crest.
I've looked.
It's
Your
the
map.
it's the whole giant chunk of like the 50 or 100 miles north and south from the south of the Washington Canadian border and east of the ocean.
East of the ocean. Sorry, I lost you. So northwest to me is like Bellingham.
West of Bellingham, that whole wilderness area there, the
Oh,
Olympian crest or the Pacific crest.
yeah, I've never been.
No,
Never
it's a
been.
big nature area. I've heard a lot of people that go explore up there, and it's pretty beautiful.
Yeah, Okanagan, is very nice. That's where Winthrop is. But yeah, I haven't been there.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll give you the last word. Is there anything else you want to say before we move on to the next caller?
No, I think
What
that's
made?
all I got for tonight.
How did you originally find me and start following me?
I think I saw you with the Black Conservative Preacher, on his live. I'm pretty sure that's the first place I saw you.
All right. I'll have to give him some kudos.
Yeah.
Thank you for
All right,
calling
well,
in.
thank
You
you.
have a good night.
You too. Bye.
So we're gonna wait for the next caller. I'm having a technical difficulty with my gimbal here. For some reason it's not charging even though it's got a power source going on. So I'm gonna try to get this thing charging on another avenue. Give me just a second. I think we're gonna start doing some more rapid fire calls. So I'm gonna make these conversations a little bit shorter so that we can get more people in here because I know there's people waiting that want to get in. All right, you got power now. For some reason, it wasn't powering off the battery pack. What's that?
Hey, Bill.
Hey, give me 1 second. I'm messing with my phone here. I'm having troubles with my gimbal. Just give me 1 second to catch up here.
Buddy.
Almost. All right, well, I guess that's going to be the view for right now because the gimbal's charging up. All right, Spazilla, thanks for calling in, man. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. About yourself?
I'm doing all right.
Hi,
What-
Spaz.
Hi. I just wanted to say, support what you're doing and doing a great job.
Thanks, man. How did you originally find out about me?
I found out from Josh.
My mod?
Yep, they're doing a killer job as well.
Right on. Are you from California?
Not from Eugene.
Eugene. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Right on. Josh is a pretty good guy.
Yep, I've known him for about 2 years now. He's pretty damn decent.
What's the scene look like on Eugene? I know they've been having little marches here and there. Have they had any riots down there, or are the businesses being attacked?
They only had one like 3 months ago, I believe,
was not very big, and they got shut down pretty quick. But yeah, they're just little sports, kind of that.
Right on. What are your opinions on what's been going on the last 4 months in Oregon and the U.S.?
I mean, I think it's pretty crazy. I'm not too up to date in all the stuff. Like, I don't follow it too much. I just know what Josh tells me and whatnot. But I just came in here literally to say, you're doing a really good job. The stream's kick ass.
Right on, man. Thank you. I appreciate that encouragement.
Yeah. I hope to see you all again on the stream.
Right on, man. Okay, man. Well, you have a good night. We'll go on to the next caller, and I hope you keep watching and keep enjoying the content. Let me know if there's things that you like or dislike. Hit me up on one of my platforms and send a message to me, man. Give me some criticism.
No, I definitely will.
All right. Thank you for calling in.
Yep. Have a good night, man.
Right on. All right. While I'm waiting for the next caller to be put in, I'm going to look at my chat on YouTube for a minute. Going on 2 hours so far. What time is it? 10,
It's
15?
you and me and Josh next.
Okay.
That's it. Because we're tired.
Everybody's. Oh, you guys are done? Okay.
We're done.
Okay.
So he's coming out. But why
Okay.
don't you look at your...
So I think that might be it for the night. The mods are going to talk for a minute.
Well, we're not going to talk. You're going to talk.
Hold on a second.
Villain.
I'll ask the chat real quick. So, you guys watching on YouTube, looks like we've exhausted all the people that are still waiting to talk, that are going to be allowed to talk. So, if any of you are watching and you have a Discord account, you can go into the description of this video in the next couple minutes and join the conversation, and our mods will put you on, and we can have a conversation with you. Wait a second, what happened to Rise PDX?
Never called in.
Where are you at, Rise PDX?
He's afraid he's going to get doxxed.
How's he gonna get doxxed?
I
By his
don't know.
voice?
He's not that important. Like, we don't really give two flying fucks.
Yeah, I haven't doxed anybody. But anyways, any of you guys want to call in, get on Discord right now and hit the link in the description and come in there. We need another
Yeah, where's Rise?
conversation.
We want to hear Rise past his talk points that he has something with a little depth.
Yeah. We want to
I
have a
think
conversation with Rise.
I think he's well-meaning, but
All right, guys. I'm gonna take another little villain shot here real quick. I brought a little flask with me today. Just a little flask. So,
oh my god.
just gonna pour myself a little drink from my flask. I'm allowed to have a little flask, right?
Yeah.
So, villain.
Just a little flask. Josh, get in here. You're right, Clayton.
Yeah. This is my hip flask. Don't judge me. I'm allowed to have a little sauce. I just brought my flask.
It's better than moonshine, though.
So I'm reading the chat right now, guys. What do you think about the Oregon Historical Society being looted? That is crazy. They looted it? Oh, that's crazy. I can't even. I'm having a hard time accepting that happened.
Well, it sounds like they broke the windows, put red paint all over the inside, and destroyed some of the displays that were close to the windows. Hopefully they didn't get too far in because I think the police called it declared it a riot and tried to move them all.
What is this?
Whoa,
We got somebody here in chat.
What we got? Hold on here.
So this is Q&A.
So,
Yeah,
Well, I just came across your stream, so this is the first time I've ever been watching.
it's Noah.
right on. How you doing, Noah?
Oh, I'm doing good. How about you?
So I'm doing good. So this call-in show is the first time you've ever heard of me?
Yeah, first time. I was scrolling through my YouTube recommendations and I saw it.
Interesting, man. Interesting. So I'm Villain Phoenix, the Villain Report. I've been recording the riots up in the Pacific Northwest since the end of May, and yeah, I'm known for videotaping all this kind of stuff and showing the world what's happening. Trying
Wait a
to
second. Were you doing a live stream a couple of days ago or yesterday?
up in Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was yesterday.
I must have watched that because some dude in my Discord shared it.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, there was a lot of clips up there from yesterday. Some of the clips, there was an old man that Antifa Black Lives Matter or Black Bloc. They pushed him and were kind of accosting him. There was an Antifa person that was begging me to give him a fellatio. I declined. I don't prefer the male fellatio, so I declined. What else was there? There was a streamer named Katie Daviscourt, I believe. She got maced by Antifa on my stream.
I saw that part.
A couple little things happened up there yesterday.
Awesome, bro. Keep doing God's work.
Right on. Are you familiar with Trumpet Man?
Yes, very.
So there was a person that I was talking to on my stream yesterday. He had a hoodie sweatshirt on. He had a face mask on. He had like a patriotic hat on. And he was presenting himself as somebody that had never been to one of these things before. I'd never been there before. And when I was conversating with him, I was having a hard time vibing with him. I couldn't tell if he was super naive or if he was deceiving me or what. But after the fact, there's been many, many people hitting me up on my platform saying that was Trumpet Man in disguise. Do you have any thoughts on that? Did you see the person on my stream yesterday that I'm talking about?
I don't think I saw that part. If I can, I'll go back to it.
Yeah. He's a white guy. He's real tall. He had a hoodie sweatshirt on.
White guy.
He acted really, really naive.
They're the fucking worst.
What are?
Liberal whites are the worst.
That's what Malcolm X said. Malcolm X was like warning people about the white liberals, and they were the people that you need to watch out for the most.
Yeah.
What part of the country are you from, bud? Noah?
I'm from the South, Texas.
Texas? Are you a Christian or do you come from a Christian background? Noah?
Well, I'm not the most devout follower, but I'm a Catholic, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta come from some kind of background for that to have the name Noah, right?
Well, it's not my real name.
That's not your name?
It's just a bit of my picture.
Okay.
It's a guy from Old Texas.
All right. What do you think about Texas? Is Texas a good state to move to? I'm thinking about leaving Oregon because it's becoming the People's Republic of Oregon.
I've really been out of the state, to be honest, so I don't really know. I guess it's pretty good.
Yeah. All right, man. I'm gonna give you the final word. You got any topics you want to hit up real fast before I move on to the next caller?
Trump 2020, okay?
Trump 2020. All right. Okay. That's a bold statement there. All right, man. You have a good night. Thank you for calling in. All right. I'm going to check out my, looking at the YouTube chat here if anybody wants to say anything. We got any more coming in, or is that it?
Well, we're doing a poll right now.
A poll?
Yeah, it's a secret poll.
I'm not allowed to be on the poll?
You don't know what it is.
It's my Discord server.
It's a question that I made up, so you know it's probably going to be a little raunchy.
Okay.
It's not raunchy. It's
All right.
just kind of humorous, but I think. But we're doing a poll for you. And we're going to put the link in your YouTube channel, and people can answer it. And then we'll let you know the results.
Okay.
I think it'll make you laugh. Ooh, Okie RJ. He wants you to come to Oklahoma.
What are you looking at?
Your chat.
Discord chat? Emmy is calling somebody a hypocrite. I don't know if he's talking about me or who, but is this Antifa? Ryan Jones says, "Is this Antifa?" Can you clarify your question there?
No, Emmy, it's not in his own home.
If it was Trumpet Man, he's bad for wearing a disguise, but you are not. And me is an agitator, man. He's just looking for things to be disgruntled about. Who said that I thought Trumpet Man was bad for wearing a disguise? I didn't say that. Putting words in my mouth. Me.
Some people are just not satisfied.
Voted laugh out loud. Why am I being kept in the dark on this secret vote?
If they were a true fan, they would know this answer.
Is the villain sexy under that mask? Is that what the question is?
No, why would I say that?
It's probably what the question is. And the answer is yes, just to let you guys know. A sexy beast.
Oh my god.
Brenda Rose says I did great today. Thank you. Thank you, Brenda. Faith says that question in the poll is worded wrong.
Oh, is it? Well, blame that on Josh then, Faith. I've got to go look at it.
Thank you, Angry Widow of Navy Steel. Angry Widow,
No, Josh said it's worded right.
Josh says the question is worded right. Is that a no-no?
I haven't vetted yet.
Yeah.
So,
Angry Widow, I've seen you in the chat asking to get onto the Discord over and over, but we haven't seen you in there unless you'd have a different name or something.
She said that it crashes her Discord. So we'll do this again. We'll get the Angry
We'll do this
Widow.
again, and we'll have less technical difficulties. We have some internet connectivity issues tonight, and a bunch of issues. I have a lot of issues, guys, if you don't know that. I have issues. I have baggage. And you're going to have to accept that if you want to ride this journey with me.
It's still a worthy cause.
Emmy says, I didn't say it, but I definitely think it. Emmy, I'm starting to not like you. And I don't even know anything about you other than your comments that you're putting in here. You seem like an agitator and a disgruntled person. Emmy, no, I'm not just commenting on your strange disguise, dude. You could ask about the disguise, or you could just peg me and what you want to do. You don't like my disguise?
Okay, Metal Mind, that's awesome.
Don't like my disguise?
I like Metal Mind.
Metal Mind? Is that MM? Or no, you're MM. ME?
No, that's not ME. It's Metal Mind.
So Emmy, you're trying to get around asking me about my disguise. I have been filming the riots for many, many months.
Oh.
Doxing is a big thing today. Antifa and Black Lives Matter hate me for filming things, and they don't know who I am yet. My identity has not been revealed or discovered, and I want to keep it that way so that I don't get attacked in many different ways that people get attacked for their identity. So.
Okay, we have a result for the question.
Read the question out.
Well, the question is, true fans would know, does Villain wear boxers or briefs?
What's the result?
31% both, 19% yes, which I don't know what that means, and the other 50% is commando. And as Metal Mind noted in our chat, he said free balling.
Oh, thanks, guys. The people that said both and the people that said yes, you are right, because I'm a fan of boxer briefs. So thank you guys. I don't know why you guys know that if you're a fan of mine. Did I talk about that in my stream one time?
You showed us your underwear one time.
When did I show my underwear?
In stream.
Did I pick up a pair of it? I don't remember
It
this.
was like, you took a picture of your boxers.
Oh, my Daredevil, like my special lucky boxers.
Yeah.
My Daredevil boxers.
Yeah.
Screw you guys. Those are my lucky underwear, and I wear them to all the places that I need good luck at.
So that means you wear them every time you go out?
No, actually I don't. I wore them to the Portland battle on the 22nd. And I wore them to the Proud Boys rally up in Delta Park. Those are my lucky boxer briefs. Yeah, I wear boxer briefs. They're the best of both worlds. They let them breathe, and they give a little bit of comfort and control. Never underestimate lucky drawers. Okay.
Yeah.
Emmy turned around and he's on my side now. He's defending
Good.
me on my underwear choices.
And Ella Luna said you should have worn them today.
Let's see what. No, I'm not wearing them today. I'm wearing the old worn out work Hanes boxer briefs today.
I once worked with a guy whose underwear literally was only the elastic strap because he was so down and out of his luck that they had rotted off of his body. It was not a good.
Just the elastic strap, huh?
Yeah.
Commando for the win. No, I don't do the commando. I do a little bit of self-care. I might be a neurotic mess right now, but I take care of my boys. Commando, that's a no-go.
Really?
Denim and zippers up against no.
Oh.
Denim and zippers, no.
Wasn't it that movie What About Mary?
Yeah, where you get the beans above the pranks.
Yeah, that was a bad look. That was a bad look. Where's Josh? He needs to come in here.
All right. We got any more callers? No more callers?
I will go look.
Never reveal. I hate the mask. I hate the mask so bad, guys. Feeling it looks like war in Portland. I can't look. The only internet I have right now is my phone. I'm using it to stream right now, but I want to see what's going, all the shenanigans. It really makes me crazy that they attacked the historical. Excuse me. I've got